I have in front of me the 11th toughest schedule in the SEC, and it's difficult. It's 11th, but it's tough, tough, tough. It's Tennessee, and this is why it's number 11. So I look at the East versus the West. The West is tougher, so Tennessee plays in the East. They got 3 softies out of conference with Bowling Green, Western Carolina, and also North Texas. So that's not unlike most of the teams in the SEC. Just about everybody only plays one toughie. If you look at Mississippi State, Vandy, and a couple others, they don't play anybody. Ole Miss this season doesn't play anybody. Fresno State's the Rebels' toughest game. But they do play Oklahoma, so Tennessee's got the one toughie at home against Oklahoma in Week 2, trying to avenge the loss in Norman last season. So this is the deal with Tennessee. You got to look at East versus West. Then you've got to look at who you play non-division. You only play 2 of the other 7 teams, and you got to match that up against your other division rivals. The East clearly not as good as the West. And then I look at the non-conference opponents, and Tennessee, despite the 3 out of 4 softies, that's pretty much common in SEC scheduling especially, and to a certain extent across the country. But Tennessee does play Oklahoma, while Mizzou's toughest non-conference game is BYU, and Vandy's toughest non-conference game is Houston. So you look at this on paper before you start to compare it to the other schedules, and you say, how could this possibly be the 4th easiest schedule in the conference when you play Alabama and Arkansas non-division, and you play Oklahoma non-conference? But let's compare it to Florida. So we're going to preview our number 10 schedule, Florida. The tiebreaker here was, of course, Florida and Tennessee both play the same division schedule. So that's the same 6 opponents out of 8 in the SEC, in addition to playing each other. So Florida plays LSU and Ole Miss out of the West, and Tennessee plays Alabama and Arkansas. I consider that a toss-up. Maybe Alabama's a little bit better than LSU. We expect them to be. But maybe Ole Miss is a little bit better than Arkansas. At least they were last year, despite losing head-to-head. So that's a wash for me. Florida taking on LSU and Ole Miss. Tennessee taking on Alabama and Arkansas out of the West. So where's the tiebreaker? Well, I think Florida State's probably a little bit better than Oklahoma, if not substantially better than Oklahoma based on what we saw last season. And then, in addition, Florida's got another semi-quality non-conference game against East Carolina. The Pirates have been very difficult in recent years, and that was about a touchdown game in the bowl game, Birmingham Bowl, last January. So that's the distinction between Florida at number 10, Tennessee at 11. The Vols, again, the big highlights of the schedule, Alabama and Arkansas non-division, the date with Oklahoma in Knoxville on September 12th. And Tennessee probably has the roughest stretch in taking on Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, Alabama in late September and into October. That's the Vols schedule. It's the 11th most difficult in the SEC. Invite your comments and questions on this right here on Mark Rogers TV.